Good morning, madam.
Welcome to the last session of this 1 week workshop, because today evening we will have valedictory and very important workshop also. And today, our old student, we are very proud to announce that our old student is holding this session, Mr. Sriram Chennagi. He will address your students both and faculty as well. And we welcome you, sir, Sriram Garu. And he visited our college and extended his cooperation to us and encouraged us so much. And for all that, we thank you very much, sir. And we thank you very much for the participation you have been taking in spite of busy schedule.
No, please not.
Please. And so without wasting much time, I request Sriram Garu to start this session.
Good morning, madam. Shall I continue?
Please continue, sir.
Good morning. Yeah, good morning, madam, respected principal and lecturers and dear students. Thank you very much. This is a great opportunity for me to be present as a guest in front of all of you, being a old student of this college. I did my graduation during 1986-89 in the same college where you are all sitting now. I was a student among you during that time. And it is pleasure and honor for me to address the students, and really it is a great opportunity for anyone in their lifetime. And before I start my topic, I just wanted to share a few of my experiences, which will definitely a stepping stone and helping hand for the students, particularly being the students from a small village like Avanigadda, still compared to the many of the big metropolitan or otherwise cities. I just wanted to share few experiences and comparison between the times which I studied the graduation and the present times now. I did my graduation. If you don't mind, most of my conversation will be in English, because గత 20 సంవత్సరాల నుంచి నేను దేశానికి బయటే ఉన్నానండి. నేను చెప్పే టాపిక్స్ నేను ఇంగ్లీష్లో చెప్తే కొంచెం వరకు ఎక్కువ కన్వే అవుతుందని అనుకుంటున్నాను. ప్లస్ లేటర్ నా టాపిక్లో కూడా నేను కన్వే చేస్తాను ఎందుకు నేను ఇంగ్లీష్లో మాట్లాడుతున్నాను అనేది. తెలుగు మాట్లాడలేక కాదు మేడం, చాలా వీలైనంత వరకు నేను తెలుగులోనే మాట్లాడతాను. ఇక్కడ ఏంటంటే ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ అంతా అయిపోయింది. ఇక్కడ నేను అంతా ఇంగ్లీష్లో మాట్లాడాలి. సో అందుకని ఇంగ్లీషు, హిందీ, తమిళ్, కొంతవరకు మలయాళం కూడా వచ్చు నాకు. సో దానివల్ల ఏంటంటే నేను ఇంగ్లీష్లోనే మాట్లాడతాను. దట్ విల్ బి మోర్ కన్వీనియంట్ ఇప్పుడున్న పరిస్థితుల్లో. సో ఫస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ దిస్ ఈస్ ద మోస్ట్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఫర్ ఆల్ ద స్టూడెంట్స్, because you are in the beginning of the ladder. So there is a bright future for all of you to mold your career. Okay, when I was studying, why I am saying repeatedly during those days and now, presently you're all having God's gift of so much of infrastructure and facilities. When I was in the college, our college during those days, the college was running in only 8 rooms, and whenever there is an examination for the intermediate or junior college or high school or any examination, we used to get a holiday or otherwise half-day college. But now you have an exclusive college, separate classrooms, and decent faculty, full faculty, and excellent infrastructure, and most importantly, you have a plenty of access for the variable resources. It may be books, it may be internet, it may be excellent faculty, and all these things which were not there during those days. That means now you can understand how much you can utilize your time and resources. Okay, this is the most important. If you see the present generation, it is a race. Whoever run fast, they will achieve the destination faster. Others, they may not be able to reach it. So in this competition, Everybody has to strive their level best to reach the destination so that they can prove themselves, not only for them, their college, their parents, their family, their children, and everybody. So, and the second point, what I would like to mention, if not today, tomorrow, once you complete your studies, you are going to join some job. Otherwise, the present topic is a startup. So you are going to have a startup company. Before we do that, just keep in your memory. It would be ideal for me, madam. I will switch off the video so that I can present something. I can focus on the presentation. I will switch off the video. Is the screen visible, madam?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Before I go to the presentation, I would like to share few more points with the students, particularly. You are in the beginning of the career. Okay. Few things which you need to keep in your memory and never forget those things in the life which will pave the foundation for the bright future. Whatever that comes, nothing is difficult in the life. Dedication, honesty, and hard work. Dedication, hard work, and honesty. Whatever the hurdle, whatever the pressure in the life, never lose the honesty. The honesty is the best policy. As long as you are honest to your job, as long as you are honest to your job, your commitment, your everything will come in your place. It may not be today, but tomorrow it will fall in your place, and definitely you will achieve the goal. And coming back to my experience, I did my graduation from Avanigadda, then I did my CWA, and in this case, I just wanted to tell you something. The communication skills and developing the language and understanding the language. Why it is required, whether you studied in a Telugu medium or English medium. But when you want to grow in your life, నేను ఎప్పుడు తెలుగు అవసరం లేదని చెప్పనండి. నేను చెప్పేది ఒకే ఒక విషయం ఏంటంటే ఇంగ్లీష్ కూడా అవసరం. ఎందుకు అంటే మీరు ఒక పుస్తకం చదవండి, లేదా మీరు డాక్టర్ దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు డాక్టర్ రాసే ప్రిస్క్రిప్షన్ కూడా ఇంగ్లీష్లోనే ఉంటుంది. డాక్టర్ తెలుగులో రాయరు. పారాసిటమాల్ 3 టాబ్లెట్లు పొద్దున మధ్యాహ్నం రాత్రి అని ఇంగ్లీష్లోనే రాస్తారు. ఒక ఎక్స్రే కానీ లేదా ఒక మెడికల్ టెస్ట్ రాయాలంటే ఇంగ్లీష్లోనే రాస్తారు. దానివల్ల మనకి దైనందిక జీవితంలో ఇంగ్లీష్ అనేది ఒక అవసరం అయిపోయింది. ప్లస్ ఫర్దర్ స్టడీస్కి ఏదైనా మీరు పై చదువులు చదవాలంటే పర్టికులర్గా వృత్తి విద్యా కోర్సులు అంటే ప్రొఫెషనల్ కోర్సెస్ ఏది చదవాలన్నా 100% సిలబస్ మొత్తం ఇంగ్లీష్లోనే ఉంటుంది. అందరూ పాస్ అవుతారు. చదివిన వాళ్ళు, కష్టపడి రాసిన వాళ్ళు అందరూ పాస్ అవుతారు. కానీ కొంతమందే దే విల్ రీచ్ టు దే విల్ మేక్ దేర్ సక్సెస్, they will turn their career into a successful career and they will go to a good heights. How it is happening? One of the element for the success is the communication skills, and that is not the only one thing. That is one of the requirement for the success. There are so many successful entrepreneurs and successful CEOs who are now in the very good position from India, like Satya Nadella, Sundar Pichai, and there are various other people. They are all from various colleges from India, studied in their own mother tongue, but subsequently now they have become world-renowned CEOs. And even very recently, the Adobe company has appointed one Indian CEO. So the communication skills and the language of English is very essential. When you do any further study, most of the time you will be required to study, to give the examination and understand and interact with the students, interact with your colleagues, everybody in English language. I had a tough time when I joined CWA. It was like a nightmare. నాకు తెలుసండి, నేను డిగ్రీ అయిపోయినాక how much difficult it was even to request for the TC from the principal. Those were the days, and నేనేంటంటే అవనగడ్డలో మా నాన్నగారిది బిజినెస్ అండి. ఆ బిజినెస్లో ఉన్నప్పుడు మోస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ద టైం నాకు అసలు చదువుకోవడానికి కూడా టైం ఉండేది కాదు. బట్ సమ్హౌ బై గాడ్ గ్రేస్ సబ్సిక్వెంట్లీ ఐ డెవలప్డ్ ద కమ్యూనికేషన్ స్కిల్స్ అండ్ ఐ స్టార్టెడ్ పర్సూయింగ్ మై కెరీర్ సిడబ్ల్యూఏ. సిడబ్ల్యూ కంపెనీ సెక్రటరీ అంటే ఇన్స్టిట్యూట్ ఆఫ్ కన్స్ట్రక్ట్ వర్క్స్ అకౌంటెంట్. ఇప్పుడు దాన్ని సిఎంఏ అంటున్నారు. అంటే అది చదివినప్పుడు ఎంత కష్టంగా ఉండేదో నాకు తెలుసు. ఎందుకంటే మొత్తం సబ్జెక్ట్స్ అన్నీ ఇంగ్లీష్లోనే ఉండేవి. ఆ తర్వాత కంపెనీ సెక్రటరీ కోర్స్ చేసి ఎంకామ్ చేశాను. తర్వాత విశాఖపట్నంలో ఉన్న షిప్ యార్డ్లో 10 సంవత్సరాలు జాబ్ చేసి ప్రస్తుతం నేను ఖతార్లో వన్ ఆఫ్ ది లీడింగ్ గ్లోబల్ కాంగ్లోమెరేట్ అండి. అది వన్ ఆఫ్ ది లీడింగ్ హాస్పిటాలిటీ చైన్. మా కంపెనీ పేరు ఆల్రయా అండ్ టూరిజం. ఆ కంపెనీలో నేను మేనేజర్ ఫైనాన్స్గా ఉన్నాను. మా టీంలో 9 మెంబర్స్ ఉంటారు. నేను మేనేజర్ ఫైనాన్స్ అనమాట. సో దిస్ ఈజ్ మై కెరీర్. I just wanted to share that. Then I will come to the main topic about share your future, share not your ideas. The topic is well designed and really I appreciate the college management for choosing this topic, which is very apt and which is very much essential for the current generation. And it is a need of the hour. One second. When we talk about the startup companies, I just wanted to tell all the students, startup company. Startup company means a plant will not come from the seed directly, which is not at all logical. అంటే ఒక మనిషి పెరిగి పెద్దవాడయ్యి చదువుకుని విద్యాబుద్ధులు నేర్పించుకున్నాకే ఒక సక్సెస్ఫుల్ పర్సన్ అవుతాడు. దట్ మే బి మేల్ ఆర్ ఫీమేల్, హీ ఆర్ షీ. అంటే దేర్ ఆర్ వేరియస్ స్టెప్స్ లైక్ దిస్ ఓవర్ ఎ పీరియడ్ ఆఫ్ టైమ్, from seed to sapling, then a small plant, then it will become a tree. What are all the requirements? The roots are like our foundation and our education, our study, our ethics, our values, and the experiences which we learn, and the blessings of the parents, blessings of the teacher, blessings of all these people, which make the foundation stronger and stronger to reap the benefits of the tree, and which strong, taller, and show ourselves. మనం సొసైటీలో నిలబడాలి అంటే మనంతటికి మనం నుంచుంటే మన ఎవరు పట్టించుకోరండి. మనం ఎక్కడి నుంచి వచ్చాం, మన చదువు ఏంటి, మన పేరెంట్స్ ఎవరు, మనకి విద్యాబుద్ధులు నేర్పిన గురువులు ఎవరు, మనం ఎలాంటి కంపెనీలో పనిచేసాం, మనం ఎంత ఆనెస్టీ, డెడికేషన్, కమిట్మెంట్తో ఉన్నాం అనేది మనకి తెలియకపోయినా అవి దైనందిన జీవితంలో మన ఉద్యోగ ప్రయాణంలో చాలా అవసరం అవుతాయండి. ఈవెన్ మీరు పెద్ద ఇంటర్వ్యూకి వెళ్తే ఆ ఇంటర్వ్యూలో ఫస్ట్ దే విల్ సీ. ఎందుకంటే మీరు ఆల్రెడీ ఒక కంపెనీని రన్ చేసి వచ్చారండి ఇక్కడికి. సపోజ్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ చెప్తున్నాను, ఒక కంపెనీని రన్ చేసి ఇంకో కంపెనీకి ఇంటర్వ్యూకి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు వాళ్ళు అడిగేది ఫస్ట్ క్వశ్చన్, మీకు అకౌంటెన్సీ వచ్చా, కామర్స్ వచ్చా, ఎకనామిక్స్ వచ్చా అని అడగరండి. ఆల్ దోస్ ఆర్ ఆల్రెడీ ప్రూవ్డ్ in the previous company. That is why they are calling for the interviews. What they will ask is the family background. How we are dealing with our family members. What is our relation with the parents, particularly whether you are taking care of the parents or not. How is your life? How you reach your life? How you lead your life? That is the most important. How ethically you are sound. How ethically you are maintaining your life. What are all the values that you imbibe from your past career, and how you wanted to exhibit those values, ethics, and traditions and culture in your way of life. Those things make a big impact in our job selection and job continuation, career progression, and career development. Coming back to the subject, startup. Already previous sessions lo meeku startup ante previous speakers already they have shared their ideas and everything. But just to encapsulate, ఒకసారి మనం మొత్తం పునరావలోకనం చేసుకుందామంటే, మనం ఇంతవరకు మీరు చూసిన సబ్జెక్టులు మొత్తం చూస్తే, వాట్ ఈజ్ స్టార్టప్? స్టార్టప్ ఈజ్ ఏ యంగ్ కంపెనీ ఎస్టాబ్లిష్డ్ బై వన్ ఆర్ మోర్ ఆంటర్ప్రెన్యూర్స్. అసలు స్టార్టప్ అనే అవసరం ఎందుకు వస్తుంది? ఇఫ్ వీ సీ దట్ స్టార్టప్ నౌ ఎ డేస్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ద రిక్వైర్మెంట్. ఫస్ట్ వీ విల్ జస్ట్ డిస్కస్ అబౌట్ ద వాట్ ఈజ్ స్టార్టప్, వై ఇట్ ఈస్ ఎ న్యూ కాన్సెప్ట్ that has emerged in the last few years that was not there earlier. It was there, but because of the technological revolution and availability of the information and advent of the internet and making available of all these information, we are able to see the real result of all these things. ఇంతకు ముందు ఉన్నాయి కానీ మనకు తెలియదు. ఒక 30 ఏళ్ల క్రితం నేను 1989లో బీకామ్ చదివినప్పుడు ఒక చిన్న ఎగ్జాంపుల్ చెప్తాను. దానివల్లే మీకు డిఫరెన్స్ తెలుస్తుంది. సెంట్రల్ గవర్నమెంట్ కానీ స్టేట్ గవర్నమెంట్ కానీ బడ్జెట్ పార్లమెంట్లో ప్రవేశపెట్టినాక ఆ రోజు రాత్రి 8:30కి మీరు న్యూస్లో చూస్తారు, లేదంటే నెక్స్ట్ డే ఉదయం పేపర్లో ఏం వస్తే అదే చూస్తారు. అంతకు మించి మనకి బడ్జెట్ అంటే ఏం తెలియదు. అంటే నేను బడ్జెట్ ఎందుకు చెప్తున్నానంటే కామర్స్ గ్రాడ్యుయేట్స్ కాబట్టి. దట్ మే బి బడ్జెట్ అవ్వచ్చు, ఒక సినిమా అవ్వచ్చు, ఏదైనా అవ్వచ్చు, ఒక ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్. ఈ రోజు ఇప్పుడు ఎలా ఉందంటే పార్లమెంట్లో ఫైనాన్స్ మినిస్టర్ బడ్జెట్ ప్రవేశపెడితే దానికి 2 రోజుల ముందు నుంచి వేరియస్ అనాలిసిస్, లాస్ట్ ఇయర్ ట్రెండ్ ఎలా ఉంది, కరెంట్ ఇయర్ ఎలా ఉంటుంది, అక్కడ సెకండ్ బై సెకండ్ అక్కడ పార్లమెంట్లో బడ్జెట్ ప్రవేశపెడుతుంటే మనం ఇక్కడ ఇంట్లో కూర్చొని మన స్క్రీన్ మీద మనం బడ్జెట్ చూడొచ్చు. ఆ పక్కనే దానికి పక్కనే వేరియస్ కామెంటరీస్ బై ప్రొఫెషనల్స్ అండ్ పొలిటీషియన్స్. దిస్ అమౌంట్ ఈస్ మోర్ కంపేర్డ్ టు ద లాస్ట్ ఇయర్, దిస్ వాజ్ నాట్ స్పెండ్. How all these things are possible? Because of the technological revolution. How these technical revolutions are apt and relevant here? Because all these are made available and provided by some of the renowned companies which were started as a startup. That is the most important point. Like it may be a Google or a Facebook, and so many companies, those are all started as a startups by some of the people which is the idea was their brainchild. Every idea might not become a successful idea, and it might not be having a commercial value. That means the potentiality to generate the revenue. Why we are talking about the startup? Basically, the startup means to convert our idea into a business and to reap the benefits either by way of generating the additional revenue to us, or otherwise the family who supported or the investors who invested the money. Ultimately, that is the goal. Because when we are talking about any startup, the ultimate benefit is to derive the benefits or fruits of that business. Whether all the startups are running and yielding the benefits, there are both the sides. We can see on both the sides. There are several successful startups which we listen to the stories, we read several books, we see the videos, but there are others also. So when we are taking any decision, we need to ask ourselves, what if? That means, if it is not successful, what is the alternate plan? What is the backup plan that we have? Because we are answerable, first thing, answerable to us, answerable to our family, our parents, our wife, because we are individuals and we need a regular source of income to maintain our life. Unless the person is wealthy family, or he is not having a botheration about the family, then we don't need to discuss about them, because the success of the startup depending on various factors. So we need to have what if analysis. Once the idea comes, the next point is, does it have, whether the idea has been tested and it has been checked and found to be in order, or otherwise it has a potentiality by anybody else. Then what is the plan that we wanted to do the business? Whether it has a business sense to convert into from idea to a business, and what is the scalability? That means to what extent this organization grows. Okay, during this process, whether anybody will understand our idea. So further, there are various steps to be followed. Before I say something, actually, throughout my career of 30 years, I have worked in one of my 7 years period in the startup. Before I go to this subject, I will just explain. So in this process, the startup companies has to follow various steps. I will share one of my experience. When I was working in one of the company in Chennai, the company itself is their main mission statement, vision statement, their object is, the company is incubating company. What is incubating? That means, like, incubator means a baby born before the birth. That means before the normal birth time, 9 months, we will put it in an incubator in the hospital. That is what the basic definition. That means a company which we see normally, which is not able to sustain and generate the revenue, meet all their expenses, is in the stage of incubation. So that is why these companies are called incubator. So generally, where it is required for all the startup company, every startup company, the idea, who have got the idea, or a team of people or an individual, might not be having the resources to convert that idea into a business. So these incubating companies, what they will provide all the facilities and infrastructure. When you talk about example, take one IT company, information technology company. Take the example of another example of Amazon.com. Amazon.com, when it started the company, it was an Amazon company, a small company. They used to collect the books from all the publishers and all the writers, and they used to send by courier or post whoever intended to buy the books. That was their original web portal around 15 to 20 years ago. I don't recollect exactly the period when they started. That was their business. Then what happened? They converted their business into a retail business. So here what I'm trying to say, to start that Amazon company business like that also, if they don't have the resources, they are depending on somebody. First, they need to generate, the idea should have the commercial value. Then who will provide the assistance? The office space, the software programmers, computers, and it will not happen overnight. It may take 8, 10 months or 12 months or 1 year, 2 years. That means this 2 years period, somebody need to give the oxygen, like their salaries, their infrastructure, their electricity, water, air conditioning, and all these facilities. Otherwise, nobody will work, because whether it is a startup company or any company, employees means they need their salaries. You need the electricity. You have to pay the bill. You need air conditioning to make the computers work in a proper way. You need to pay the money. So, and you need the broadband, internet, telephones, mobiles, all these things require money. Who will give? The company, the venture capital fund or the incubating company will provide all this fund till the project is successful and come to a value that it has a value. Now we can go for the marketing the product or marketing the solution or sell the software. So that is where the period, incubating period, these companies will provide the startup. When I was working in the company, we developed a software called 3E. It is a small level ERP software. It took more than 3 years for us to generate the fruits, because though it is a small software, it is catered to the needs of the ERP companies like what we see, the More supermarket, Trinatra supermarket, Heritage supermarket, all these supermarkets. So to make that software operational and to make that software working in a proper way, the team has to spend several days to make sure that the system is working in a proper way and it doesn't have any problems in terms of the bugs or otherwise errors. That was one of the, it took more than 3 years to make the product successful and go to the market and sell the product. And it might not be, it will not be a case for 100% success in each and every time. There are pros and cons, there are a trial and error basis. So similarly, the same thing, we had a problem. There were several complaints from the customers. There were several challenges, and particularly about the finance and about the marketing of the product. Why I am mentioning these 2 points here, every startup will face all these problems. If we develop a product, whether the product, first thing, it will reach to the market, whether it is in the interest of the market, whether customers will like the product, and what is the life of the product. Okay, if the life is, let us say, 15 days, whether it will reach the customers within this 15 days to a area of, let us say, 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers. What are all the requirements to keep this item under the custody, like means the logistics part? What are all the requirements? Like that means you need to keep the item in a safe condition and you have to transport. It may be freezer truck or normal truck. Then it has to reach the customer. That means the life of the asset should not be spoiled. If you talk about the software, if your customer is a big customer, the customer should accept the software once it is successful. So this is basically just to mention about the startup company. Then why startup and why it is different from other companies? What are all the additional qualities I have? When we are starting any business, first thing, we have to be honest and truthful to ourselves, because the idea which we have, before somebody asks, we should ask ourselves whether my idea has any value, or otherwise I am hyping myself that this idea has so much of business potentiality and it will generate the revenue. Then we are deceiving ourselves. So we should first of all honest to us. Second thing, why I am different from others, why my idea is different. If you talk about one company, they developed the fingerprint for TTD Darshan. That was the one company developed the product. But to make it successful, they should find a customer like TTD, and TTD should buy the software and make it operational. Now it is widely available. You can go and put your fingerprint, and once you go there, you will put the fingerprint and you get the token. This is one idea. And yesterday also, I listened to the class of Mr. Ramakrishna Garu. He was mentioning about the fruit chips, which is a good innovative idea to store the items with less vacuum so that moisture content will not be there, and it will increase the shelf life of the product. And what are all the additional qualities which I have, which others don't have? And when I am saying this, when we are trying to start up a business, presently there are so many opportunities of check our results, check our product, check our idea, the resources like it may be internet. If we use those resources, we might be able to understand ourselves, where we stand among our peers, where we stand among other companies, etc. And it should be an innovative. It should not be like the same idea. If somebody developed a scooter, if you also develop a scooter, what is the additional value that we are providing to the customer? It should be something unique. Then only people will come to us, they will buy it. Before the Google, there was no other search engine. After the Google, there were so many other search engines. Yahoo came, then Bing came, then some other search, Opera came. But those were all not successful. Only Google is successful. Similarly, YouTube came. Some other small players came, but nobody could stand in front of the YouTube. The reason is the scalability of the product and the changing themselves up to date made them unique and standing tall in front of other companies. Some of the stories, before we discuss anything, always first we have to listen or otherwise read the books about such startups. Then only we will get the complete idea to prepare mentally ourselves, to make our mind strong that our idea has a potentiality or not. What is the backup plan, which already I discussed. If we see some of the stories, there are several companies, either from India or rest of the world, there are several companies which have become as a startup, but now it is one of the successful entity on the earth. Like it may be Voyo, or if we talk about the Indian companies like Snapdeal or Flipkart or Baiju. Very recently, Baiju has got a valuation of $18 billion. We can't even imagine that $18 billion means almost like 130,000 crore rupees value of a company, which how the Baiju has become so successful, the timing is the most important. The pandemic has created the help from them. And the present generation, the present era, wife and husband, parents, nobody finds time, everybody is busy. Then kids need to have the classes, kids need to attend for the classes, or otherwise if they go to the college, or otherwise if they need to go to the tuition, they have to spend 2 hours going, 2 hours coming. So all these things make them to develop this portal. Now they are one of the biggest portal, which is in the sector of edutech, education and technology together. They make every student and children's life more easy to make available all the resources which we never even have dreamt of it. And similarly, there are other companies, Indian companies like Urban Company, Godrej Company, which started several years back as a locks manufacturing company, which is everybody knows Godrej means manufacturing locks. But now this is one of the biggest conglomerate from India, from locks to the soaps to the shampoos, from the real estate. All these are part of their portfolio. And if we talk about the big companies, as I mentioned, Amazon, Snapdeal, Facebook, Google, ByteDance, which is one of the company from China, developed the TikTok software. Now their valuation is more than $100 billion. Paytm, which has become daily life for all of us, Paytm now, Paytm, BharatPay, RuPay, all these are now part of our daily life. We don't know that those companies were started as a startup and now they are successful companies and having their presence in all the states rather than saying that outside the country, but it is widely available across the country. We are seeing in each and every nook and corner of the country, in each and every Kirana shop also now we are seeing this. Similarly, Airbnb. Airbnb is another company which nobody thought. Airbnb means their concept is similarly there is another one, Voyo rooms also. That means nobody ever thought that somebody will rent a room from their house. So this is the brainchild of somebody. They thought when the recession starts, when nobody has the money, when several financial recessions started across the globe, somebody thought about it, particularly countries like Europe and North America. This concept was widely prevalent. They thought that this will be a successful, and it has become a successful. If we see some of the few companies across the globe, which are all started their career, these are the few companies which I got from the net. They started as a startup company. Now, as I mentioned, the Baiju, you can see here $21 billion valuation from India, which is listed in the top 15 companies. So that means the idea should have the commercial value, and the idea should have what you call the scalability. The correct word is scalability. అంటే ఆ ఒక్క మనకున్న idea is the main thing for any of these innovations, developments and changes. But idea should have the scalability. కరెక్ట్ వర్డ్ నాకు గుర్తు రావట్లేదు. దానికి వాల్యూ ఉంటే అప్పుడు మనకి ఎంత దూరమైనా వెళ్తుంది. We can take it to such a high level. And there are various types of startups in terms of their value. They are normally defined as a unicorn, decacorn, hectacorn. That means the company which has a value of $1 billion, normally it is called a unicorn. As per one of the report, there are 42 startups which has a value of more than 1 billion, which got the valuation of 1 billion in the last 12 months, which is in 2021. Then we can see how many startups are coming. But at the same time, here there is a disclaimer. నేను అది అందరినీ ఎంకరేజ్ చేయడం కాదండి, బట్ వీ హ్యావ్ టు సీ ద నెగటివ్ సైడ్ ఆఫ్ ద రిపోర్ట్ ఆల్సో. వీఆర్ సీయింగ్ ద నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ స్టార్ట్అప్స్ విచ్ ఆర్ సక్సెస్ఫుల్, విచ్ విల్ కమ్ ఇన్ ద పేపర్ అండ్ ఎవ్రీబడి ఇంటర్వ్యూస్ and news channels, everybody, but there are unsuccessful events also. So that is why particularly the startup company needs to think twice before taking a bigger step. It is not a discouraging factor, but one has to understand the reality, and we have to see the factual position also. Because when somebody funded the money, they will not fund because it is their own hard-earned money. They will not give just like that for an idea which may or may not have the business or otherwise potentiality to generate more returns to them. If it is the normal classification, there are different of course, if we see the different, because these are all not only standard terminology that needs to be used. Different authors have different, but these are the generally used classification for the startups. One is the scalable startup, small business startup, life cycle, viable, and big business startups and social startups. Since already I think my predecessors and other speakers already they covered some of these points. I am just to touch base on at the top level. Small business startups. These are all the small companies like pop and mom shop, funded basically by the parents or otherwise their close friends and relatives. So ultimately they want to start the business, they will get the money and they will try to make, and it may be something like a sole trader or a small partnership firm, and we do the business. So viable startups, that means big business startups. Example, if you take Reliance Jio. Before that, Reliance was not into the telecom business. Adag, which is Anil Dhirubhai Ambani Group, was into the Reliance business under a different name. When Mukesh Ambani entered into the telecom business, they got the spectrum, which is the basis for a telecom license for the mobile operation. They got the license. They started from the scratch, and they invested almost $23 billion, which runs into almost like 140,000 crores to make that idea into a reality. Since Reliance Jio doesn't have a big problem of the funding, they were able to make this operation successful. Similarly, a big company like Facebook, if they start another venture, they don't need to look for the funding. They themselves have the resources. There are some of the startups which they don't want to publicize too much, or otherwise they don't want to generate. It is for them, their lifestyle, their family. So they just want to develop a startup company. They want to keep it. If we see the scalable startup, the first thing is the potential to keep increasing their revenue while keeping their incremental cost at a maximum. Here we need to see the incremental cost. What is the meaning of incremental cost? if we take the example of the agriculture, for cultivating 5 acres of agriculture, you need 2 tractors and you need 10 farm laborer to complete the cultivation for a period of, let us say, 100 days. If you have, instead of 10, if you have a 20 acres, you don't need 4 tractors and you don't need 20 people. That means the additional investment required is, instead of 2, you may be required 3, or otherwise maybe you can cater to that. Instead of 10 people, you will be able to do with 14. In the same way, it applies everywhere. When you are doing a job, when you are doing a startup business, to manufacture a product, it takes 2 hours and 1 kg material, because there will be a wastage. When you are manufacturing, instead of 5 products, you don't need that much quantity of material, because in the mass production, you will go for the mechanization and you will have various other supporting, like mechanization, and you have technology to minimize the scrap, waste, all those things. That means you are using all the available resources to minimize your losses, minimize your cost. The power consumption also, when you produce 100 units, it may be 100 units, but you produce only 1 unit, it may be 5 units. The reason is, when you are producing in the mass, your cost will come down automatically without because of the use of various other resources. And some of the companies like Google, Skype, Facebook, Twitter, those are all the example. Initially, they started as a small startup, but because of the finance fund invested by the venture capitalist, it has become one of the world's renowned successful company now. And we can't live without those companies now. Skype, in fact, once the Microsoft Teams and WebEx and other companies have come, now they are lagging behind. But other than that, there are so many other companies which are successfully doing it. Then small business startups. These are all the small businesses. They are not aiming to be big, but they are wanted to have a comfortable living for their family, friends, as I mentioned earlier. Then lifestyle startups. These are basically founded by some of the founders. Their main idea is for them, for their family, to have a regular source of income. Just 1 minute, one minute, please excuse me. Sorry. Viable startups. Viable startups are the companies that were started to be sold to the large company. That means if somebody has a company and some product, something is successful, or otherwise the people behind this company are already well known and they are already noted in the market and their ideas are well known, then whatever the new companies which are started, there are various other companies are in the queue to fund them. There is a company called SoftBank, which is based out of Japan, and previously, and the company promoter name is Makayoshi-san, and they are investing in the companies. In fact, they are one of the investors for this Baidu.com also. They have 140 to 180 billion dollars of investment across the globe. That means their main business is to identify the correct startup company, see the value, their business plan, their marketing strategy, and the value of that company which penetrates, and the scalability from a state to the country to the various other factors, and how long it will generate the revenue. Is it sustained in the long run? Are we expecting any other competitor with the innovative idea like that? So now here the point what I'm trying to say, the SoftBank is funded by various other sovereign wealth fund. The country, some of the oil rich companies, they have so much of disposable money. They are investing in the SoftBank. Huge money, they are investing in the SoftBank. Then SoftBank is investing. So if we see here, the point is SoftBank has a concept of identifying the startup companies and other companies to invest it. That means SoftBank has become an investor. Somebody else is interested to invest. They are not running behind anybody, but they are getting the investments on their own without their even follow up and chasing or otherwise request. Why? Because there is a proven track record for them. Big business startups, all the big companies which are there, if they start up a new company, they don't need to approach the investor or banks or anybody. So automatically, because of it is backed by a big corporate entity, they will have the backing of the funds, resources, and everything. In one of the examples which I mentioned, the software which was developed by my previous company, the full funding, that is our own entity. So that is why our company used to provide the funding. And the same company, there is another startup company, the TV9 channel. The TV9 channel, one of the startup which was funded by iLabs Limited. That's where I work for. Now everybody knows about the TV9 channel. There is no introduction. There is no requirement of introducing that company. It has become a part of our life. Then there are various challenges when we talk about the startups. Finding the money. Nobody will give the money if they don't understand our business. They don't see the value of generating the proper returns for them, and they have their own checklist to identify. As we listened yesterday, the investors will not give the money just like that. They want to see the numbers. Yes, numbers are the ultimate thing. Whatever the big company, ultimately at the end of the year, that once they publish the results, that is the indicator for the stock market, whether to go up or down. If you are an investor, how much money you will get. If you are working in that company, how much bonus you will get. If you are a promoter, how much share of profit you will get. And if you are a supplier, okay, whether I can extend the money to this company, give the credit to the company. So that means everything is linked to the numbers. If the numbers are not good at the end of the year, if let us take a financial year, and even employee, if the company is doing a roaring business, people want to add that company in their profile, in their biodata. They don't mind working for a lesser salary also. And another important point, the business model. Which type of business model? Example, if you develop a new type of salt, but you want to sell your product like a small place which is close to the sea, nobody will buy. Where you will buy, it is a unique product of the salt which has a less moisture content. You can keep for 3 to 4 years, etc. All these things. So first of all, we should know who will buy the product. What is the marketability? To what extent I can penetrate? Now, if you see everywhere, the salt is coming from the sea, which everybody knows. Sea water, the salt water. Now, if you see any supermarket, they are canvassing about Himalayan salt. The normal salt is not even 4 rupee, 5 rupee, whereas Himalayan salt, they are selling at 50 rupees. Now it is fully covered in each and nook and corner of the country in all the showcases. How? Because this is their marketing strategy to reach to the public. For a startup company to catch that opportunity, they need to have their business model and business plan. Okay, this is my target customer. This is my plan. Okay, first I wanted to introduce to the top 10 cities. And once it is successful, second quarter, I wanted to penetrate to the next 2 cities. Then I want to go out of the state. Then I want to go South India. Then I want to go cover all over India, pan India. For this, I need to have the distributor network. I need to have the vehicles. I need to have the warehouses, or my dealer should have several things. If you talk about any vehicle company, Maruti Suzuki, then Nissan Motors, then Toyota Motors, all these companies started or entered into the company in the last 20 years. Prior to 1990, only 2 companies used to dominate the Indian automobile sector, Ambassador and Premier Automobile Limited. That means only 2 companies. Once the government started the liberalization, that means Saralikuta Ardhika Vidhanalu, PV Narasimha Rao garu modalettinappudu, then gradually one by one, all these companies started. But all these are internationally renowned companies. When they enter, they are a startup company. They need to find the place. They have to understand the market. They have to understand where the raw material is available. They need to understand which state has the maximum potentiality. They need to understand the logistics, roads, infrastructure, power supply, electricity, water, accommodation, skilled talent pool. And they need to see the connectivity and port, road. All these are parameters. So when they are talking about expanding their business or setting up a plant, they will see all these things. Each and every company, initially there was a company called Alvin Nissan. Alvin is a government company, Nissan is a Japanese company. But nowadays, that is a history. That company is not there. Then similarly, Mahindra and Renault jointly together, they started. Then Hero Motors and Honda together, they started a company. Maruti Ujjog. Maruti is a Japanese company and an Indian company. Now it has become Suzuki Motors. So what I'm trying to say, I don't want to deviate the topic. The create business model and business plan. We should have a clear vision. If not now, at least before we approach any investor, we need to prepare what is that we are expecting. Okay, first 3 months, once I develop the product, it may be a product or service or support, anything. We need to introspect ourselves. We need to test our product. We need to do some due diligence. That means దాని గురించి complete పునరావలోకనం చేసుకుంటే to what extent we stand. Then who are our target customer? How much revenue it generates? What are all the resources? That means requirements. Material, men, machine, then money. Money is the most important. So what do we have here? Do we have money? Do we have machinery? Do we have material? Do we have machinery? Which one we have? Once you develop the product, where you need to send? Who are our customers? The customers, is it in your village, in your district, other district? You need to see how much time it will take, how many items you can sell, who will sell for us. Once you develop, nobody will come because you need to do your marketing plan. To do all these things, you need to have the people who will do the job. The people will not come just like that. You need to select the quality, talented people. And if I am saying that, okay, I'm starting a company in this particular place from so and so, nobody will understand. Maybe few people will come. But if you want the talented people with the required knowledge, first of all, you need to spend so much time, effort, convincing them and offering them some bonanza, like once the company is successful, okay, which I have seen in my previous company. You have to convince them. There are some words called tag along, drag along. So we need to convince them, okay, if you join our company, once the product is successful, during this time, I will say 50,000 salary. Once the product is successful, then when the company is go for the IPO, initial public offering, then I will give you, let us say, 0.5% of the shares, or I will give you 5% of the profit. Like that, they will offer for the senior level cadre. There is a company in Bangalore 3 years back. The employee, those who are there from the day one, for the first 5 years, everybody got a big amount, because I don't recollect the exact amount, a whooping amount as a shares. It is called ESOP, employees stock option. Everybody got more than 1 crore worth of shares. It has not come easily, because it is by the loyalty which employees have shown, trust which they have shown to the company, that and a determination by all of them that this company, the startup company, will be successful, and the effort which they have put in for more than 3-4 years, and making sure that the idea of that company has successfully delivered into a product or a service or a software or whatever it is. So that is where it is the teamwork. That is where the third point, hiring of the key personnel, which is the most important. Then equity stake for the partners and investors. So we have to get the value, because once it has come to a stage when somebody invested the money, then the next question comes, they will have various resources, because the investors normally, they will invest in various places. They will guide us, they will mentor us, they will make to some extent their ideas, their suggestions will help us. Then ultimately the bottom line is they will expect their profits in terms of return. They call normally IRR, internal rate of return, annual rate of return, or whatever the name you call. Ultimately they see the profit, how much they will get. If they invest 100 crores, after 5 years, they will see whether the 100 crores, whether I can sell for 500 crores or 1000 crores. That's what they used to visualize. There are various, like every coin has a 2 sides. That means head and tail, and every idea has advantages and disadvantages. And every point, when we are talking about, the way we see is different from the way other person sees. So advantages of the startups. If we talk about the advantages and disadvantages of a startup, the more responsibility. That means since you are working for your own company, you have to feel more responsible. Sometimes it gives an immense satisfaction for you yes, I did my job and I did responsibly and I did whatever the best that is required. And opportunities to learn, because the failures and success are part of the life. But we should never discourage ourselves from the failures, and we have to learn the lessons from the failures and make the career for the next challenges, opportunities, and future success. And fewer employees. For big companies, you will have so many people, and you have to uh, think about their salaries, their benefits, their gratuity, their provident fund, and their requirements, etc. Since the startup companies normally have the fewer employees, your financial commitments, your administration and convincing are generally less. Opportunities to learn, I think that is repeated. Disadvantages, the increased risk. As I mentioned, how the responsibility is there, at the same time, we can show this as a risk also, because the success and failure sometimes, not every time, are not in our hands. And long hours, because of the startup company, you need to prove yourselves, you need to deliver the product, you need to make your product unique than others. So you have to spend an extended number of hours, either in terms of the production or research and development or refining or fine tuning of the product. Then pros and cons. Hello, is it audible, madam?
Yes, sir, audible, sir.
Okay. Then pros and cons. If we see, that means pros and cons, generally tappu oppu manchi chedu antuntam manam. More opportunities to learn, the increased responsibility, the same thing like what we mentioned, advantage and disadvantage is in a different manner. Then growth timeline. I think this already we discussed. Then we should have a correct team, and we need to have a proper business plan, and the business plan as well as the forecast for the profits, as well as we need to have a detailed profit and loss expenses, etc. That means once we prepare a profit and loss statement, it need not be at the top line. The investors, basically what they will see, what is the revenue that you are going to generate, and what are all your operational costs, how much gross profit you are going to generate, then the interest cost and dividend, etc. That means dividend, though it is a chargeable to the P&L, it is not an outflow. So then they will see EBITDA, earnings before interest, tax, and depreciation. So then investors will see how much money we are generating for them over a period of, let us say, first 2 years, 3 years. So we need to have a clear visibility of our company. Then market, as we mentioned already, risk. Sorry. First of all, we should be aware that when we are doing the startup, it is not exactly the correct resemblance. అంటే కరెక్ట్గా నేను కరెక్ట్ పోలికతో చెప్తున్నాను లేదు అని తెలియదు, కానీ ఎల్ఐసి కంపెనీ వాళ్ళ లోగో మీరు చూస్తే ఒక దీపం, దానికి రెండు వైపులా రెండు చేతులతో ప్రొటెక్షన్ ఉంటుంది. అంటే దీపం పెట్టాం, ఆ దీపం ఆడకుండా మనం ప్రొటెక్ట్ చేస్తాం, ఆ దీపాన్ని మనం ప్రొటెక్ట్ చేస్తాం. బికాజ్ యు ఆర్ ప్రొటెక్టింగ్ ద ల్యాంప్, ఇట్ ఈస్ గివింగ్ ద లైట్ టు అస్. So startup company means it is a startup company, the success and failure on various factors. Sometimes the timing is the most important thing. We develop a product, but one point which we need to mind, ideas are nobody's right or property, because the idea which you generate over a period of time, somebody else might get the same idea. We don't know, or otherwise maybe in some other form. Or by the time we convert the idea into a business model and develop a product, this may be outdated. One example I wanted to tell you in this case, when after the 1980-85, that means before Y2K boom started, there were several hundreds of Japanese engineers used to work in America. And telephones were so expensive. And what they used to do, when they need to communicate to their friends and their relatives, particularly their family, their wife, they used to write the letter, send by courier. It takes, let us say, 10 days, 15 days, because it has to go by flight. But it involves a huge cost for them. Then after a period of time, Japanese thought about it to get a faster solution. Then they have come up with the fax machine. within a split second, within 1 minute to 2 minutes, they are able to communicate to their family, children, friends, anybody, whatever they want. So that means what happened? The revenue of the FedEx, which is the one of the most popular courier company in USA, their revenue has fallen by more than 75 to 80% in 1 year. This is the point that I wanted to just highlight, because similarly, if you to see the example of Nokia, they have never thought about it that one day their company will be a history, and nobody doesn't even recognize that there was a company called Nokia. Once upon a time, Nokia used to be a pride, and they were the #1 mobile producer across the world, and nobody can beat them. But then what happened? BlackBerry came, but suddenly one fine morning, Apple came with a smartphone. Then it changed the world. Then Korean companies came, Samsung. Then they replicated with more changes, etc., etc. Then Koreans also have come up with this Samsung. Then Chinese entered. So now it has become a history. Now Nokia is struggling even to survival for their existence. They want to keep a foothold of at least even 1%, 2% market share. So here, what I am trying to say is the timing is the most important. Then desire to develop the product. The desire should be so the desire should be so strong that we should not be bogged down by small problems. So we determined ourselves that yes, this is the product, it has a value, and this product will be successful, and I wanted to make sure that this product will be successful. As long as the desire is not there, nobody will come and encourage us, because it is a startup company. We have to pat our back and move ahead. Then we need to update ourselves with the latest changes and trends and updates. One point which I will take from yesterday's reference, the packaging with less vacuum. How we are able to store the medicine. Many people, even I don't know till yesterday only I have realized that the medicines are having the shelf life not because they manufactured in such a way, but because they removed the vacuum, they created a vacuum, removed the moisture and other things. So that is where the shelf life is there. In our life, we are seeing, if you go to the supermarket, there is a packing called vacuum packing. We thought vacuum means just airtight pack. That means they are removing everything, creating a vacuum. That means when nothing is there, it is called vacuum. Then ability. That means we should strongly determine ourselves that we have the ability, we have the skill set, we have the resources that we can do it. Then we should have a clear clarity when we are starting up a startup. That means what actually? That means, okay, my initial concept, first we are preparing the design, a roadmap. Okay, from January to February, first we will develop a product. During this time, the product will be developed and which will be tested, which will be used by some of our neighbors, some customers, some friends, etc. Then we will take their feedback. By February end, we will have a clear idea about our product. Then March, okay, March we will develop the product. We will give it to 10 or 15 friends, relatives once again to just say and give their correct feedback. Then you will get the final product. Then you will start manufacturing the product, and then you will proceed with the supply of the product to the local market, then penetrate to the other market. So like that, you need to have, it is called a time frame, time bound evaluation, or otherwise a target fixing, so that you will know exactly, and you need to evaluate period by period. That means, let us say, if you divide 1 year into 52 weeks, you need to calculate normally by 2 weeks, first 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 5 weeks, like that. Then you need to check the actual performance of whether you achieved the target or not, where we are lagging behind, what are all the problems, what are all the challenges that we are facing. If we come to, let us say, 18th week, by 18th week, we should finish our product and we should deliver to the local market, but we are not able to do it. That is the negative side. If you see the positive side, by 15th week itself, we are able to complete the product. We supply to the local shops. We got the feedback and the product is going good. Now we are able to replicate to nearby cities. So we need, this is a continuous process where we need to check ourselves where we stand, whether we are able to meet the targets, whether we are able to achieve the timelines which we set. Similarly, it may be customers or process. When you have the machinery, you need to regularly check the maintenance of the machinery, how it is working, many new models have come. So similarly, the employees, you need to retain the team, because sometimes some of the employees are backbone for the organization. If the employees are leaving, the organization will come to a standstill, because it is the brainchild. You cannot bring in another person and again reinvent the wheel and develop the product. It takes so much of time, rather it may be a failure. So the person who started the startup should have a thorough understanding, or otherwise visualization, basically visual అన్నిటిని ఊహించుకోవటం కాదు, అన్నిటిని చూసుకోగల నైపుణ్యాన్ని అలవాటు చేసుకోవాలి. ఏది కొత్త కాదు, ఏది రాకెట్ సైన్స్ ఏం కాదు, అన్నీ మనం చేసే రాకెట్ అయినా మనుషులు తయారు చేస్తేనే రాకెట్ పైకి వెళ్తుంది. సో వీ నీడ్ టు కీప్ అబ్రెస్ట్ అవర్ సెల్స్ విత్ ఆల్ దీస్ చేంజెస్. Then SWOT analysis. What is SWOT analysis? It is basically SWOT analysis. What are the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? So what are the strengths? What are the strengths in our product? What are the strengths in our team? What are the strengths in this particular type of, let us say, I'm talking about the strengths of anything. It may be the team who are involved in product development, or the place which you choose, or the technology which you are using, or the way of selling the product. Example, if we manufacture a new type of ice cream. First, when you manufacture an ice cream, you should have a refrigerated truck to transport the product to the customer. If we don't have the refrigerated truck, our product cannot reach the customer. Then the next point is, you need to have the refrigerated godowns, which is called freezing godown. That means you need to have the warehouse with that capacity. Then the shopkeeper, he should have the refrigerator. If he doesn't have the affordability to invest it, that means either you should invest or you should target such shops to sell your product. So this is the thought process. This is where we need to link one by one. And in this process, if we have the resources, example, money we have, okay, we can invest, we can buy the refrigerator, we can give every one shop. Like we can see Pepsi and Coca-Cola, they are giving refrigerator to the nook and corner, every small shop. Why they are giving? It is their publicity. Second thing, to sell their products. Similarly, strengths. Yes, I have the team. Okay, in that 4 are core members. Even if one person leave, the others are okay. Similarly, the material. These are the material which are required for my product. Even if the material doesn't supply, something like a lockdown happened, or vehicle strike, or people strike, next 4 months, I can get the material locally available. So these are all my strengths. And even funding. Okay, I don't have that much money, but okay, this is the backing. My father, my parents, my relatives, my friends. Okay, or otherwise already I got the funding from so and so. They promised that this much money will be given in the first 1 year. So these are all my strengths. Then weaknesses. When it comes to the weaknesses, when changes in the technology, and suppose you are developing a product which you cannot sell, or you cannot supply to the destination, you cannot supply to the customer, or you don't have the resources, or otherwise there are some other problem. So those are all weaknesses. Or otherwise raw material is not available, you are depending somewhere. Example, if you talk about automobile manufacturing units, why there are so many automobile units centered only in Tamil Nadu? If we visualize, this is type of visualization or fact check is required for any startup company or entrepreneur. I will tell you one small example. When the Kamaraj Nadar was the chief minister of Tamil Nadu, they developed the sectors for developing ancillary industries. Ancillary industry means when you want to develop an industry, that industry will be developed if you have various industries. A car is called an assembly line product. That means you are buying thousands of products, you are making all these products, assembled it, then you are manufacturing a product. So the automobile companies will come where the accessory companies are already available. The car requires steel, which is there. The car requires various tools, parts, screws, nuts, bolts, which are available in Tamil Nadu. Car requires glass, front glass, side glass, rear mirrors. There is a company called Saint Gobain in Chennai city. There is a manpower requirement, it is available. Electricity, water, government provided. So government, what they did, they provided the required infrastructure, and companies, they developed en masse. That means in a huge number of products with the quality, they already developed in the last 50 to 60 years. When the opportunity came, just they showcased that these are the things I have. I have the pool of manpower. I have the road connectivity. I have the port connectivity. Most importantly, I have all the spare parts available. Whatever you want, it is readily available. It may be tires, it may be gaskets, it may be engine, it may be workshops, or it may be glasses, anything. If you want, it is available. Then automatically any investor will come and try to invest in those places. Why I am referring this example, we need to see the availability of all the resources. There only we need to choose the correct place, time, etc. Then opportunities. Opportunities means the pandemic has created so many opportunities. There are so many negative sides, but if we see the positive side, it has created several opportunities. Example, now what we are seeing, this WebEx technology, whatever the speech which I am giving, or a session which is happening now, this has become so successful because of the pandemic. The meeting physically or otherwise attending for seminars or meetings or certain things, or attending to the office or phone calls or conference calls or business has become virtually completely stopped because of the pandemic. So this technology has come to our rescue, and now the Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and all these companies have become so inseparable in part of our life. So that is the opportunity for those companies. And the threats, technological changes and outdating of the products, or otherwise a change in the customer's habits, or change in the customer taste, or otherwise various other reasons, or normally we call threats. If we see the Indian context, the government of India has come up with a website called, I think I am already over the time, ma'am.
No problem,
If we see the
sir.
Indian okay.
Please
If we see the
continue,
Indian
sir.
context, okay, thank you, ma'am, thank you. If we see the Indian context, the government of India has come up with a comprehensive website called Startup India. So when any of us browse through the website, but the first thing is we will get mesmerized, and definitely we will feel that lot of resources are available on the website. It may be a success stories, it may be the mentors who are available for each and every product segment, or it may be a guidance, or it may be the process how we need to set up a company, and how to complete the formality for registration. It may be a sole trader or a company or a partnership or limited liability partnership, whatever we call, and what are all the procedures, what are all the benefits that government is giving under various income tax act, and what are all the other benefits that government is giving. There is one point which I want to highlight. Government is extending the benefit of 3 consecutive years in the first 10 years of summer. Thousand crores seed funding to extend the funding for the company. So then now government has emphasized, and the government is encouraging entrepreneur, the individuals or otherwise a group of individuals to come up with the ideas and convert that idea into business reality. And after doing various due diligence and check, then can get the funding from the angel investors or otherwise from the government designated banks, then convert that. Then if we see the Indian context, why actually the funding is required? You need to create a prototype creation, product development, team hiring, which these points already we talked about: working capital, legal and consulting services, raw material, licensing and certification, marketing and sales. There are various types of funding. Normally, the working capital. If we talk about the working capital, this is for the day-to-day operations to make sure that your organization your startup is working successfully. Without the working capital, that means this month you will get 100,000 revenue. You have to spend 30,000 for the material, 10,000 for the material labor, employees, and then 5,000 for the staff, office space, etc. And ultimately, if you see the bottom line, you are having 10,000 real, 10,000 rupees deficit. That will be funded by the government. That is called working capital. So on the whatever the money that we are using, you need to pay. Similarly, equity financing. Government will give, they will take 10% equity stake, 20% equity stake, they will give the money. We don't need to pay the interest, but they are now shareholder. That means the moment in your decision making, somebody else is part of the decision. That means you are answerable to somebody else. Not only you are answerable to somebody else. Then whatever the profit comes, they will take the share. Then debt financing, that is another one. Debt means they will give the low money as a loan, which we need to pay the interest. When you think that we will generate 10 million profit, and when you have to pay 2 million, that means your profit is 8 million. So we have to calculate that when we are arriving our product. Then grant. Sometimes government will give the grants. That means it is a money. Once you achieve this stage, they will give that money as a grant, which normally we don't need to pay, but we have to achieve the targets or otherwise the thresholds which they have set. Then there are various stages of the source of funding. The ideation pre-seed, that means before we conceptualize and once we develop, then they will give something, then they will do the validation, then the early transaction. I don't want to take much of the time because already I think I am beyond the time. Then the scaling at what stage, then exit operation. Finally, once the startup is successful, how the investor, the initial company, the startup, the founders, you can say founder or founders, how they will get their money. They will sell their company to somebody else, or 5 or 10 or some percentage of the shares they will sell to the public, which is normally called initial public offering, IPO. Then when the public bought the shares, let us say when you see in your book value 1 rupee share, when the public are ready to buy 4 rupees or 5 rupees, that means the shares which we are holding also valued in that way. That is how the companies are valued. Then dilution of the stake. Then somebody other company will come, they will take the stake, or otherwise already shares are sold to the public, which you will buy back, which we don't want to give. Those are the exit options. Normally, the investors, what are all the points which normally they look at? The objective and problem solving. What is the main objective of this funding requirement? Okay, sir, I have this idea. And as per our idea, this is the product that we are developing. And this product has this technology. Then they will ask several questions. Okay, this product, you are using this particular material, if it is not available, or this product doesn't fit. So then we need to have the problem solving skill or alternative solution. Then they will see who are all the people managing the company, who are all the team involved in this, who is your production head, who is designing head, who is your marketing head, who is your finance head, how he is managing the things, and who is your delivery head. So they will see the top people, what is their profile, what is their skill set, etc. Then market landscape, where we wanted to sell the product. If let us say I am manufacturing bricks, that means first thing I should have the trucks and I should sell the product only where the construction is happening. I cannot take the bricks to the Himalaya and sell it. So we have to see the market landscape where I can sell the product, to what extent I can take it and reach to the thing. Scalability. That means today I'm selling 5 products, tomorrow 100. After 2 years, where I should stand, how I can reach to that scalability, whether this business has the potentiality to reach that level. If we talk about the Amazon, now Amazon has reached to the nook and corner. That means they have created a business model which will reach to the almost the whole world. So that is their business model. Example, if you talk about a more supermarket, which is in the, we cannot think of that they are selling the product to outside the country. So it is as simple as that. Customers and suppliers, customers as well as the suppliers. Who are your customer and who are your suppliers? If you don't, this is called supply chain. And if you don't have your suppliers in a proper way, you cannot manufacture the goods and you cannot supply. Similarly, if you manufacture the goods and if you cannot supply to your distributor, wholesaler, retailer, then you cannot do it. So what are all the challenges? and competitive analysis. Where we are in the competitive world. Who are our competitors? Where we are. Suppose example, take the example of the cars. There are plenty of cars in the market, but very few companies are successful. Why? Because of few factors. One, price. Definitely we are all cost conscious, we see the price. Then the other point is the durability of the product, the design of the product, and the aesthetic beauty of the product. So these are all the points which normally how you are comparing yourselves or how you are faring better than your competitor. That is where you can stand among others and you can feel your product is a unique compared to the others. Then sales and marketing strategy, how you are able to sell the product. Are we going to advertise in the TV? Are we going to publicize in the market? Are we going to do various other technologies? So that is where we see. Normally, if we see the people might not spend much of the time watching the TV. They will switch on the channel. I will tell you one small example. There is a company called, which has started with an innovative concept. Whoever bring the paper advertisement of the front page, they published a small advertisement. If you bring a paper and buy one wheat powder, that means godam pindi packet okati konte unkoti free. So what happened on that day when I was in Vizag, this is in 1993, in one day, the company sold more than 20 lorry loads. That means 20 tons, 200 tons of wheat powder in one single day. Just imagine to reach that much market, how much money we need to spend advertisements. This might not be successful. That is the innovative idea which they developed. So we have to see what are the strategy, how to reach the customer, how much money we are spending, what is the cost benefit analysis. It is called CBF, cost benefit analysis. Okay, we are spending this much money. What is the benefit that we are going to get? Is it useful or junk waste expenditure? Then financial assessment. Ultimately, the bottom line, this is the most important, financial assessment. Everybody is saying about the profits, how much money, where from the resources are coming, how much money is coming, how we are spending, are we spending wisely, or any wasteful expenditure we are incurring, how to cut short all those things. Then exit revenue, that means as we discussed about IPO. And these are all the references which I have taken from various sources. With this, I just want to conclude my session. I hope I have addressed a few of the points which we are looking at. Thank you very much for the opportunity given to me. And really, it is an honor for me, madam.
Thank you very much, sir. It's very enlightening. And most of our members will watch it later through YouTube because it's a working day and they have their own classes to attend now. But if they have any doubts, please, sir, they will contact you through the email that we have with us. Is it okay with you, sir?
Most welcome, madam. Yeah, you are most welcome, madam. You are most welcome. And it is really an immense opportunity for me, particularly where I studied and now I'm giving a lecture. It is a great opportunity and great honor for me, madam.
It's a great thing that you remember your college well, sir. And in spite of your busy schedule,
no, ma'am. It is my pleasure. It is my pleasure.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. And now it's time for lunch, sir, in India. So,
okay, correct, ma'am.
Yes,
I think I have taken longer time. I have taken a much longer time than the time given
anyway,
to
they
me.
enjoyed, sir. Students who are watching here, sitting in our room, they are enjoying a lot, sir. And thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yours is the last and most effective session of this 1 week workshop, sir. In the evening, we have valedictory, sir. And everything went so far so well with the best wishes of people like you, sir. Thank you very much. And I
thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. How was the feedback, ma'am? How was the feedback? Hope you enjoyed the session. I have not given any boredom,
actually,
right?
We will get in feedback forms after the end of this session, sir. But actually, personally, I got phone calls and people said they really liked this program, sir. And for that all,
I'm so busy with the audit work.
To you, sir.
I'm so busy with the audit works. I could not do much research on the subject. I was so busy on the audit work. And even today, actually, it is a holiday, but I'm busy with my work because I need to attend for the audit work and interact with the auditors. So దానివల్ల ఏంటంటే నేను ఎక్కువ ప్రిపేర్ అవ్వలేకపోయాను, but I tried my level best.
Sir, it's very useful for the students as well as for the teachers because this is not our subject, sir, actually.
Understood.
We have different subjects, but in today's scenario, we need to learn all these things. So
Correct.
that's why I have to say that it is very useful for the faculty also. And
Okay.
thank you very much, sir.
Thank you
very
so much, ma'am. Once again, thank you. Namaste, madam.
Namaste. And with this, we end this session. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you.